Sarah Chen stepped off the transport ship and looked around Kepler Station. The massive space station floated in the void between star systems, serving as neutral ground for galactic politics. She had never seen anything like it. The station stretched for miles in every direction, with gleaming metal towers and strange alien architecture that hurt her eyes to look at. She was Earth's first ambassador to the Galactic Council. It should have been an honor, but Sarah felt only dread in her stomach. The message that brought her here had been clear. Humanity needed to answer for its crimes. 2 alien guards escorted her through corridors filled with creatures she had only seen in reports. The Zephyrians looked like giant bluebirds with 4 arms. The Karathi resembled walking trees with crystalline bark. Others defied any earthly comparison. All of them stared at her as she passed, their alien eyes filled with suspicion and disgust. The council chamber was enormous. 12 seats arranged in a perfect circle, each one designed for a different alien species. At the center stood a small platform where Sarah was told to wait. She felt very small and very alone. High Counselor Vexithera spoke first. The Nexari leader looked like a cross between a mantis and a snake, with multiple eyes that never blinked. When it spoke, its voice came through a translator that made every word sound cold and mechanical. Human representative, Vexithera began. You stand before the Galactic Council to answer for your species' aggressive behavior. Sarah kept her face calm, though her heart was racing. I'm here to listen to your concerns. Counselor Blorth of the Titan Collective slammed a massive fist on his chair's armrest. The creature looked like a living mountain of gray stone. Concerns? Your species has violated every standard of civilized expansion. In the past 50 Earth years, added Counselor Lysara, a graceful being that seemed to be made of living crystal, humans have established 37 colony worlds. Most species take centuries to achieve such expansion. This shows dangerous ambition. Sarah made notes on her tablet while listening. She had expected these accusations. Earth's rapid spread through nearby star systems had clearly worried the established powers. Counselor Thekmore, who looked like a floating jellyfish with glowing tentacles, pulsed with angry colors. Worse than expansion is militarization. Human ships carry weapons far beyond what young species typically possess. You have armed vessels in every system you control. We've faced hostile environments, Sarah replied calmly. Space is dangerous. We protect our people. Protection? Vexthara's mandibles clicked together in what might have been laughter. Human military doctrine emphasizes overwhelming force and rapid response. These are the hallmarks of an aggressive species. Counselor Grex of the Hegemony, a blob-like creature with dozens of eyes, spoke next. Most concerning is human adaptability. Other species develop technology slowly, through careful consideration. Humans weaponize every discovery within decades. This pattern threatens galactic stability. Sarah continued taking notes, but she was really studying each council member. Their body language, their speech patterns, the way they interacted with each other. Everything might be useful later. The council has debated human expansion for 3 standard years. Vexithera continued. We have reached a unanimous decision. Humanity must cease all military development and halt expansion beyond currently occupied systems. You will submit to council oversight of all technological advancement. The chamber fell silent. Sarah could feel 12 sets of alien eyes watching her reaction. She finished writing her notes before looking up. Is that all? She asked. Counselor Blorth leaned forward, his stone features showing surprise. You understand the gravity of this ultimatum? Species that refuse council guidance face corrective measures. I understand you're making demands, Sarah said. I'm here to listen, not negotiate. Earth's government will need time to consider your proposal. This is not a proposal, Lysara said, her crystal body flashing with bright colors. This is a requirement for continued peaceful coexistence. Sarah nodded politely. I'll make sure Earth's leadership understands your position clearly. Vexithera's multiple eyes focused on her with laser intensity. You have 30 standard galactic days to comply. Your government must formally accept council oversight and begin dismantling offensive military capabilities. Expansion beyond current territories must cease immediately. And if Earth refuses? Sarah asked. The High Counselor's mandibles spread in what Sarah recognized as a threatening display. The Council has tools to ensure compliance. Other young species have learned the wisdom of cooperation. Humanity would be wise to follow their example. Sarah stood up from the platform. I'll deliver your message to Earth's government. Is there anything else? The council members exchanged looks of surprise. Most species trembled when faced with council ultimatums. This human showed no fear, no anger, just professional detachment. "You may go," Vexithera said finally. "Remember 30 days. The council's patience is not unlimited." Sarah bowed slightly. "Thank you for your time, counselors." As she walked out of the chamber, Sarah heard whispered conversations in alien languages behind her. She didn't need a translator to understand their confusion. They had expected begging or defiance. Instead, they got bureaucratic politeness. Back on her transport ship, Sarah opened a secure communication channel to Earth. Admiral Marcus Torres appeared on her screen, his weathered face showing no expression. "How did it go?" he asked. "Exactly as we expected," Sarah replied. "They want us to disarm and accept oversight. 30 days to comply or face corrective measures." Torres nodded slowly. "Any surprises?" "They're more arrogant than our intelligence suggested. They genuinely believe we'll surrender like other species did. They see us as children playing with dangerous toys." "Good," Torres said. "Underestimation is our best weapon right now. What's your assessment of their unity?" Sarah reviewed her notes. "Solid for now, but cracks are possible." The Karathi representative seemed less enthusiastic than the others. "The Titan Collective is definitely the most aggressive faction." "Understood. Return to Earth immediately. We'll need your full briefing before we implement Phase 1. "Admiral," Sarah said carefully, "are we really going to do this? Once we start, there's no going back." Torres was quiet for a long moment. "Sarah, they're giving us 30 days to surrender our freedom. They think we're just another primitive species that will roll over when threatened. They're about to learn how wrong they are." The communication ended and Sarah stared out at the stars streaming past her ship. She thought about the council members and their confident assumptions. They ruled the galaxy through fear and intimidation, forcing younger species to accept their dominance. But humanity was different. Earth had been preparing for this confrontation since first contact with alien life. While the Council saw rapid human expansion as reckless aggression, it was actually careful positioning. Every human colony, every military base, every technological advancement had been planned with this moment in mind. The Council thought they were dealing with unruly children. They were actually facing a species that had been quietly preparing for war, while pretending to be naive newcomers to galactic politics. Sarah opened her mission files and began writing her report. The Council wanted an answer in 30 days. Earth would give them one, just not the answer they expected. As her ship jumped to faster-than-light speed heading home to Earth, Sarah allowed herself a small smile. The Council had no idea what they had just started. 31 days had passed since the Council's ultimatum. High Counselor Vexithera stood in the command center of Kepler Station, watching the tactical display with growing irritation. Earth had not responded to their demands. "Still no word from the humans?" Vexithera asked. Counselor Lissara's crystal body dimmed with frustration. "Nothing. Our diplomatic channels remain open, but they haven't sent any official response." "Arrogant children," Blorth rumbled from his massive chair. "They think silence will make us forget our demands." Vexithara's mandibles clicked together rapidly, a sign of deep thought among the Nexari. Perhaps they need a demonstration of Council authority. Prepare the containment fleet. Within hours, 12 Council warships jumped into Earth's solar system. They moved into strategic positions around the outer planets, creating a blockade that would prevent any human ships from leaving or entering the system. Admiral Kessitar of the Council fleet contacted Earth directly. The Zephyrian's blue feathers ruffled with authority as he broadcast his message to every human government facility on the planet. "People of Earth," his translated voice announced, "you have failed to respond to the Council's reasonable demands. As a corrective measure, your solar system is now under protective containment. No human vessels will be permitted to leave this area until your government accepts Council oversight." On Earth, President Martinez watched the broadcast from the Emergency Command Center buried deep under Colorado. Around her, military leaders and government officials maintained calm expressions, but she could feel the tension in the room. "How many ships?" she asked Admiral Torres. 12 heavy cruisers positioned at key jump points, Torres replied. "Standard Council intimidation tactics. They're trying to force us to negotiate from a position of weakness." Defense Secretary Williams pulled up reconnaissance data on the main screen. "Our deep space monitors show more Council forces gathering at Kepler Station. They're clearly prepared for a longer blockade if necessary. President Martinez nodded. Any word from our colonies? The Council has intercepted 3 colony ships en route to new systems, Torres reported. They forced them to turn back. No casualties, but the message is clear. Humanity's expansion stops now. What about our people on existing colonies? Asked Secretary of State Chen, Sarah's older sister. So far, the Council hasn't interfered with established settlements. This seems to be about preventing new expansion, not punishing existing colonies. President Martinez stood up and walked to the large display showing the solar system. 12 red dots marked the positions of Council ships. To anyone else, it would look hopeless. Earth was surrounded and cut off from the galaxy. But Martinez knew something the Council didn't. Those 12 ships weren't trapping humanity. They were putting themselves in perfect position for what came next. Admiral Torres, she said quietly. How long until our assets are in position? Torres checked his secure tablet. 18 hours for full deployment. The Ghosts are already moving. The Ghost Fleet was humanity's most classified military project. While the Council focused on Earth's obvious military bases and ships, they had completely missed the secret construction facilities hidden in asteroid fields throughout human space. For 10 years, Earth had been building a shadow navy using technology the Council didn't know existed. Meanwhile, on the Council blockade ships, Admiral Kessitar was feeling confident. The humans had been silent for over a day since the containment began. Soon their government would realize the hopelessness of their situation and accept Council terms. Any response from Earth? He asked his communications officer. Nothing yet, Admiral. Should we increase pressure? Kestar considered this. Not yet. Let them think about their situation. Fear is often more effective than force. But Kestar had made a critical error in judgment. Humans didn't respond to fear the way other species did. Instead of becoming more compliant under pressure, they became more dangerous. 3 days into the blockade, tragedy struck. The passenger liner New Horizons was returning from Mars with 1,847 civilians aboard, including 340 children coming home from educational exchanges. Captain Rodriguez had been in contact with Earth about the blockade, but his ship was already committed to its flight path. The New Horizons appeared on the sensors of Council ship Righteous Decree. Commander Thexnall, a young Nexari officer, was nervous about his first major assignment. When the human ship didn't immediately respond to his halt order, he panicked. Human vessel, you are ordered to reverse course immediately, Thexnall broadcast. Captain Rodriguez tried to explain. Council ship, this is civilian transport New Horizons with returning colonists. We pose no threat. Requesting permission to proceed to Earth. But Thexnall's translator was malfunctioning, and he only heard fragments of the message. Under pressure to enforce the blockade perfectly, he made a fatal decision. Target refuses to comply. Firing warning shot. The plasma bolt meant to pass near the New Horizons instead struck the ship's main reactor. The civilian transport exploded in a brilliant flash, killing everyone aboard instantly. When news of the destruction reached the Council fleet, Admiral Kessitar was horrified. This was not supposed to happen. The blockade was meant to pressure Earth's government, not kill civilians. He immediately sent a message to Earth, expressing regret for the unfortunate accident, but refusing to accept responsibility. The human vessel failed to comply with lawful orders, his message stated. While the Council regrets the loss of life, this incident demonstrates the importance of following proper protocols. On Earth, the response was immediate and unified. Every human government, from the largest nations to the smallest colonies, issued identical statements. The time for diplomacy was over. President Martinez addressed the world from the same command center where she had watched the blockade begin. Citizens of Earth and humanity everywhere, she began, her voice steady but filled with cold anger. 3 days ago, the Galactic Council surrounded our home with warships demanding we surrender our freedom. Today they murdered 1,047 innocent people, including 340 children, and called it an acceptable accident. She paused, looking directly into the camera. The Council thinks we are children playing with dangerous toys. They believe we will bow to their threats like other species before us. They are wrong. Admiral Torres stepped forward. As of this moment, Earth is officially at war with the Galactic Council. We will not negotiate. We will not surrender. We will respond to their aggression with force they cannot imagine. Around the world, hidden military bases activated. Ships that didn't officially exist began launching from concealed hangars. Earth's true military capacity, hidden for decades, finally revealed itself. The Council had wanted to teach humanity a lesson about galactic politics. Instead, they were about to learn why you should never threaten a species that had spent its entire history perfecting the art of war. High Counselor Vexithera received the first reports 12 hours later. Human ships were appearing throughout Council space, but they weren't like any vessels in the intelligence files. These ships moved faster than anything the Council had seen, and they seemed to appear and disappear at will. "How many ships are we tracking?" Vexithera demanded. "Unknown," replied the intelligence officer, a nervous Karathi whose bark was flashing with alarm signals. "Our sensors detect them for moments before they vanish again. Estimates range from dozens to hundreds." Vexithera felt the first stirring of concern. Perhaps they had underestimated human military capability. That concern would soon turn to terror. Captain Elena Vasquez checked her instruments one final time before giving the order. Her ship, Silent Thunder, hung motionless in the void between star systems, completely invisible to Council sensors. Around her, 49 other Ghost Fleet vessels waited for her signal. "All units, this is Ghost Leader," she whispered into her comm unit. "Operation Scalpel begins now. Remember, we're not here to destroy planets or kill civilians. We're here to cut out the Council's ability to make war." Elena had volunteered for the Ghost Fleet program 5 years ago, when Earth's intelligence services first learned about the Council's attitude toward younger species. She had spent 3 years training for this exact mission. Surgical strikes against military targets using technology the Council couldn't detect or understand. Her first target was Supply Depot Gamma 7, a massive orbital facility that provided fuel and ammunition to Council fleets in the Outer Rim. Intelligence reports showed it was defended by 2 patrol ships and an automated defense grid that had never been tested against human stealth technology. "Silent Thunder to Phantom Strike," Elena called to her wingman. "Beginning approach to primary target," Commander Hayes in Phantom Strike acknowledged. "Copy, Ghost Leader. Defensive systems show normal patterns. They have no idea we're here." The 2 ships activated their quantum tunnel drives, a human innovation that the Council's greatest scientists had dismissed as impossible. Instead of jumping through hyperspace like traditional faster-than-light travel, the drives created microscopic tunnels through normal space-time. Ships could move at incredible speeds while remaining completely undetectable. Elena's ship materialized just 50 meters from the supply depot's main reactor core, before the automated defenses could even register their presence. Both Ghost ships fired precision plasma torpedoes. The weapons were designed to cause maximum damage to mechanical systems while minimizing explosive effects that might harm nearby vessels or stations. The supply depot's reactor went critical, but instead of exploding violently, it simply shut down. Emergency power systems failed one by one as human torpedoes systematically destroyed key components. Within minutes, the massive facility was dead in space, its supplies and equipment useless. The 2 patrol ships guarding the depot never saw what hit them. Their engines suddenly failed, their weapon systems went offline, and their life support began cycling down to minimal levels. The crews would survive, but their ships would need months of repairs to become operational again. "Target neutralized," Elena reported, moving to secondary objective. Across Council space, similar attacks were happening simultaneously. Ghost Fleet vessels struck at communication relays, supply lines, and isolated military outposts. Each attack was precise, calculated, and completely unexpected. At Relay Station Omicron 4, Lieutenant Commander Park's team disabled the primary quantum communications array that connected 12 Council worlds. Without warning, an entire sector of the galaxy went dark, unable to coordinate military responses or call for help. Commander Singh's squadron hit a weapons depot in the Karathi system, disabling the facility that supplied plasma cannons to Council warships. The attack was so precise that the depot staff didn't realize they were under attack until their security systems started failing one by one. On Kepler Station, High Counselor Vexithera stared at the tactical display in growing horror. Red symbols marked facilities that had gone offline across Council space. Supply depots, communication relays, fuel stations, and military bases were failing faster than his staff could track. "How many installations have been compromised?" he demanded. Intelligence Officer Corthon's crystalline shell was flickering with stress patterns. 47 confirmed, High Counselor. Reports are still coming in. We estimate the humans have hit targets in 15 different systems. Impossible, rumbled Counselor Blorth. Our intelligence shows humans possess fewer than 200 combat vessels. They cannot be everywhere at once. Yet they appear to be doing exactly that, replied Counselor Theckmore, his glowing tentacles pulsing with agitation. Our patrol fleets report human ships appearing without warning, striking with precision, and vanishing before our forces can respond. Vexithara's mandibles clicked rapidly as he processed this information. What about casualties? Corthon checked his reports. That's the most disturbing aspect, High Counselor. Human attacks have caused almost no loss of life. They're targeting our infrastructure with surgical precision, while deliberately avoiding civilian casualties and minimizing military deaths. Why would they show such restraint? Asked Counselor Lysara. Because they're not trying to conquer us, Vexithara realized with growing dread. They're trying to cripple us. They want us helpless, not dead. The true scope of human planning became clear over the following days. Earth's intelligence services had spent years mapping every critical piece of Council infrastructure. They knew which facilities supplied which fleets, which communication networks carried which types of traffic, and which installations were essential for maintaining Council military operations. Dr. James Liu worked from a secure facility on Earth, coordinating the intelligence that guided each Ghost Fleet strike. His team had studied every Council species for decades, learning their psychology, their technology, and their tactical doctrines. The Nexari rely heavily on centralized command structures, he explained to Admiral Torres during a strategy briefing. Disrupt their communications and their fleets become uncoordinated. The Zephyrians base their entire logistics network on 3 major supply hubs. Take those out and their ships can't refuel or rearm. What about their response patterns? Torres asked. Predictable, Liu replied with a slight smile. Council military doctrine emphasizes overwhelming force and direct confrontation. They don't know how to fight an enemy they can't see or target. Our hit-and-run tactics are completely outside their experience. This was proving true throughout Council space. When a human ship struck at a target, Council forces would rush to respond only to find empty space and disabled facilities. By the time reinforcements arrived, the attackers had vanished without a trace. Admiral Kessitar, commanding the Council blockade around Earth, found himself in an impossible position. His orders were to maintain the containment, while Council forces dealt with human attacks elsewhere, but those attacks were clearly launched from ships that had somehow bypassed his blockade. How are they getting past us? He demanded of his sensor officers. Unknown, Admiral, replied Commander Yathara. Our instruments show no ships entering or leaving the Earth system. Yet the attacks continue. What Kessitar didn't know was that the Ghost Fleet had never been based in the Earth system. For years, human engineers had been building secret shipyards in distant asteroid fields, hidden nebulae, and abandoned systems that Council surveys had dismissed as worthless. The ships attacking Council targets had been deployed long before the blockade began. Earth's apparent isolation was meaningless, because the real war was being fought by forces the Council had never detected. Captain Vasquez received new orders, as her ship completed its 7th successful mission. Instead of striking another supply depot, she was directed to observe a Council fleet gathering in the hegemony system. Silent thunder to fleet command, she reported, observing 36 Council vessels in formation around Hegemony Prime. Heavy cruisers, battle carriers, and support ships. They appear to be preparing for a major operation. Copy, Ghost Leader, came Admiral Torres' voice. Intelligence suggests they're planning a direct assault on human colonies. Your orders are to shadow that fleet and report their movements. Elena acknowledged and settled in to watch. The Council was finally trying to take the initiative, but they were still thinking in terms of conventional warfare. They planned to strike at human settlements, believing that threatening civilians would force Earth to negotiate. They still didn't understand what they were fighting. As Elena watched the Council fleet prepare for departure, she smiled grimly. The Council thought they were about to deliver a crushing blow to human morale. Instead, they were about to walk into the most devastating trap in galactic history. Admiral Torres had been hoping the Council would try exactly this kind of direct assault. It would give humanity the chance to demonstrate the full extent of their military capabilities. The Council was about to learn that invisible ships and precision strikes were just the beginning of Earth's arsenal. Admiral Kester commanded the largest Council fleet ever assembled. 68 warships from 8 different species hung in formation near Proxima Centauri, humanity's closest colony system. The plan was simple: threaten the human civilians until Earth's government came to the negotiating table. "All ships report ready, Admiral," his tactical officer announced. "The human colony has 40,000 inhabitants across 3 settlements. Preliminary scans show minimal defensive installations." Kessitar felt confidence returning for the first time in weeks. The mysterious human attacks on Council infrastructure had been embarrassing, but this would end the war quickly. No species could ignore threats to their civilians. "Open a channel to the colony," he ordered. Governor Patricia Williams appeared on the main screen of Kessitar's flagship. The middle-aged woman looked remarkably calm for someone facing 68 warships. "Governor Williams," Kessitar began, "I am Admiral Kessitar of the Galactic Council Fleet. Your system is now under Council protection. I am authorized to ensure the safety of your population through any means necessary." "I see," Williams replied neutrally. "What do you need from us, Admiral?" "Contact your government on Earth immediately. Inform them that Council forces are prepared to take whatever steps are required to protect galactic peace. Your people's safety depends on Earth's immediate compliance with Council demands." Williams nodded slowly. "I'll send that message right away. Is there anything else?" Kestar was surprised by her composure. Most planetary governors begged for mercy when faced with overwhelming force. "That will be sufficient. You have 6 hours to receive a response from Earth." The transmission ended, and Kessitar settled back in his command chair. Within hours, Earth would be forced to surrender rather than risk civilian casualties. The Council's superior numbers and firepower made any other outcome impossible. What Kessitar didn't know was that Governor Williams had just activated the most sophisticated military deception in human history. Dr. Sarah Kim worked frantically in the hidden command center deep beneath New Geneva Colony. As the colony's chief technology officer, she had spent 3 years preparing for exactly this situation. Every human settlement beyond Earth contained defensive systems that the Council couldn't detect or understand. "Phantom Grid is online," she reported to Governor Williams. "All civilian areas are now protected by Class 5 defensive shields. Evacuation to underground shelters is complete." "What about the surprise?" Williams asked. Dr. Kim smiled. "The Admiral is about to discover that this isn't a helpless colony. It's a fortress. Throughout human space, similar preparations were being made. What the Council saw as vulnerable civilian settlements were actually heavily fortified military positions disguised to look harmless. Human engineers had spent decades perfecting the art of hiding massive defensive systems behind facades of peaceful colonization. On Earth, Admiral Torres watched the tactical display with grim satisfaction. The Council fleet was positioned exactly where human strategists had hoped they would be. "All Ghost Fleet units, this is command," he broadcast on secure channels. "Council forces have taken the bait. Operation Mousetrap is now active." Captain Vasquez, still observing from her cloaked position, watched the Council fleet spread out in standard intimidation formation. The alien ships were perfectly positioned to demonstrate their overwhelming numerical superiority. They were also perfectly positioned for what came next. "All units, this is Ghost Leader," she whispered. "Remember, we want prisoners, not casualties. Target their engines and weapon systems only." Around the Proxima Centauri system, space began to shimmer. One by one, human warships materialized out of nothingness. These weren't the small, stealthy Ghost Fleet vessels that had been conducting hit-and-run attacks. These were full-sized battleships and carriers, bristling with weapons technology the Council had never seen. Admiral Kessitar stared at his sensors in disbelief. Where moments before had shown empty space, his instruments now detected over 100 human warships. Worse, they were appearing in perfect formation around his fleet, as if they had been waiting in ambush. "How is this possible?" he demanded. "Our sensors showed no ships in this system." His science officer, a trembling Karathi whose bark was flashing panic signals, could barely speak. "Admiral, these ships, they're using some kind of cloaking technology we've never encountered." They were here all along, completely invisible to our instruments. All ships battle stations, Kessitor ordered. Prepare for combat. But before the Council fleet could respond, something even more shocking happened. The human colony below them suddenly bristled with massive weapons platforms. Defensive turrets rose from hidden underground installations. Energy shields flashed into existence around civilian areas. In seconds, the helpless colony had transformed into a fortress that could challenge a fleet. Governor Williams appeared on Kessitar's screen again, but this time she wasn't alone. Behind her stood Admiral Sarah Reeves, commander of the Proxima Defense Force. "Admiral Kessitar," Williams said pleasantly. "I'd like you to meet Admiral Reeves. She'll be handling things from here." Reeves stepped forward, her expression cold as space. "Admiral Kessitar, your fleet is completely surrounded by superior forces. Your ships are outgunned and outnumbered. I am offering you one chance to surrender." Kessitar's pride warred with tactical reality. His 68 ships faced over 100 human vessels, plus planetary defenses that looked capable of destroying his entire fleet. But Council doctrine demanded he fight rather than accept defeat. "Council ships do not surrender to primitives," he declared. "Your choice," Reeves replied. "All human ships engage the enemy. Disable, don't destroy." What followed was unlike any space battle in galactic history. Human ships moved with impossible coordination, as if controlled by a single mind. Their weapons fired with surgical precision, targeting specific systems on Council vessels, while carefully avoiding critical life support areas. The Council fleet's return fire was largely ineffective. Human ships seemed to anticipate every attack, dodging plasma bolts and missile salvos with ease. When Council weapons did find their targets, they struck shields that absorbed damage far beyond anything in the aliens' experience. Within 30 minutes, the entire Council fleet was disabled. Not a single ship had been destroyed, but none were capable of combat. Their engines were dead, their weapon systems were offline, and their navigation computers had been systematically shut down by human cyber warfare programs. Admiral Kessitar sat in his darkened command center, emergency lighting casting eerie shadows on his bridge. His flagship's main reactor was intact and life support was functioning, but every other system had been precisely disabled by human weapons. "Damage report," he called out weakly. "All primary systems offline," his engineering officer reported. "The humans have somehow disabled our ships without destroying them. We're helpless but alive." Governor Williams contacted him again. "Admiral, we have medical teams standing by to assist with any injured personnel. Food and water will be provided as needed. You and your crews will be treated according to galactic conventions for prisoners of war." Kessitar could barely comprehend what had happened. The Council's most powerful fleet had been completely destroyed by an enemy they had dismissed as primitives. Even worse, the humans had done it while showing mercy his own forces would never have demonstrated. "How?" he asked quietly. Admiral Reeves answered him. "We've been preparing for this war since first contact, Admiral. Every human colony, every ship, every weapon system was designed with Council tactics in mind. We studied your species for decades. We know how you think, how you fight, and how to defeat you. But your technology," Kessitar protested, "is about 50 years ahead of yours," Reeves finished. While the Council was content to rule through intimidation, humanity was innovating. "We had to be better than you because we knew this day would come." Dr. James Liu's voice came through the communication channel from Earth. "Admiral Kessitar, this is Dr. Liu, Earth's xenobiology specialist. I've studied Zephyrian psychology for 15 years. Your species values honor above all else. You fought bravely, but you were outmatched. There's no shame in acknowledging superior tactics and technology." Kessitar felt something break inside him. The humans knew him better than he knew himself. They had studied his people, learned their weaknesses, and planned this victory down to the smallest detail. "What happens now?" he asked. "Now you get to deliver a message to the Council," Admiral Reeves said. "You're going to tell them exactly what happened here. Every detail of how quickly and completely their most powerful fleet was defeated. And then you're going to tell them that this was just a demonstration." Captain Vasquez's voice joined the conversation from her cloaked ship. "Admiral, you should also mention that human forces observed your fleet's approach for 3 days before you arrived. We could have destroyed you at any point during your journey here. We chose to let you come, chose to disable rather than destroy your ships, and chose to spare your lives." The implication was clear and terrifying. If humans could defeat the Council's best fleet this easily while showing mercy, what could they do if they decided to stop being merciful? High Counselor Vexithara had not slept in 3 days. The emergency session of the Galactic Council had been running continuously since Admiral Kessitar's broken fleet limped back to Council space. The Zephyrian Admiral's report had shaken every member to their core. The humans destroyed 68 of our best ships without losing a single vessel, Kestar repeated for the 5th time. His voice carried the hollow tone of a broken warrior. They didn't just defeat us, they toyed with us. Every move we made they had already anticipated. Counselor Blorth slammed his massive fist on his chair. Impossible. No species developed such technology in mere decades. Yet here we are, replied Counselor Lysara, her crystal body dim with despair. Our fleets are scattered, our supply lines are cut, and our member species are questioning Council authority. The tactical display in the center of the chamber told the devastating story. Red zones marked areas where Council forces had been neutralized. In 6 months of warfare, humanity had systematically dismantled 60% of Council military capability while suffering virtually no losses themselves. Intelligence. Officer Corthan delivered his daily briefing with trembling mandibles. 3 more member species have withdrawn from the Alliance in the past week. The Helios Confederation officially declared neutrality this morning. The Outer Rim Collective is demanding immediate peace negotiations. Vexithara felt the foundation of galactic order crumbling beneath him. For 3,000 years, the Council had maintained peace through superior firepower and unified authority. Now a single species was proving that their entire system was built on illusion. What of our request for reinforcements from the core worlds? He asked desperately. Denied, Corthan replied. They view this conflict as a regional matter that doesn't concern them. Some core species are even expressing interest in establishing diplomatic relations with humanity. The final blow came when Counselor Thekmore's aide whispered urgent news in his commander's ear, the floating jellyfish-like being pulsed with distressed colors before speaking. Counselors, Thekmore announced heavily, I have received word that human ships have been detected in our home systems. Not attacking, simply observing. They want us to know they can reach our homeworlds anytime they choose. The chamber fell silent. Every council member understood the implication. Humanity wasn't just winning the war. They were demonstrating that they could end it whenever they pleased. On Earth, President Martinez sat in the same command center where she had declared war 6 months earlier. The tactical displays now showed green zones marking areas under human control or protection. Admiral Torres stood beside her, reviewing the latest intelligence reports. Council military capability is down to 38% of pre-war levels, he reported. Their alliance is fracturing faster than our most optimistic projections. 5 member species have withdrawn completely, and 7 others have declared neutrality. Any signs they're ready to negotiate? Martinez asked. Our intelligence suggests the Council leadership is divided. Some want to continue fighting. Others are pushing for immediate peace talks. The deciding factor seems to be whether they believe we'll show mercy or complete their destruction. Dr. Liu joined the briefing via secure link from his research facility. Madam President, our psychological analysis indicates the Council members are experiencing something unprecedented. Genuine fear of a younger species. Their entire worldview was based on technological and military superiority. We've shattered that assumption. Martinez nodded thoughtfully. It's time to give them a way out. But they need to understand that any peace agreement will be on our terms. 3 days later, Ambassador Sarah Chen returned to Kepler Station. But this time she wasn't alone. Admiral Torres accompanied her, along with a full diplomatic team and an escort of 12 human warships that materialized directly outside the station without warning. The Council chamber was a very different place than it had been 6 months earlier. Only 9 of the original 12 members remained. The seats for the withdrawn species stood empty, a constant reminder of Council weakness. Vexithara watched Sarah enter with a mixture of dread and desperate hope. The human woman looked exactly the same as during her first visit, but everything else had changed completely. Counselors, Sarah began formally, I bring greetings from the government of Earth and the United Human Colonies. President Martinez has authorized me to discuss terms for ending this conflict. You mean terms for our surrender, Blorth said bitterly. I mean terms for peace. Sarah corrected. Earth has no interest in ruling the galaxy or destroying the Council. We want security for humanity and respect for our sovereignty. Vexithara leaned forward desperately. What are your demands? Admiral Torres stepped forward, his dress uniform bearing decorations earned during the systematic destruction of Council forces. First, the Council will formally recognize human independence and territorial sovereignty. No future interference in human internal affairs or expansion. Second, Sarah continued, reparations for the civilians killed during your blockade. The families of those 1,147 people deserve compensation for your acceptable collateral damage. Counselor Lysara's crystal body flashed with angry colors. You've destroyed our fleets, crippled our economy, and humiliated us before the entire galaxy. Isn't that enough? No, Admiral Torres replied simply. You started this war by threatening our children and our future. The cost of that decision extends far beyond military defeat. Sarah pulled out a detailed document. Third, the establishment of permanent human embassy stations in Council space, with full diplomatic immunity and the right to monitor compliance with peace terms. Fourth, Torres added, the Council will provide full technological and intelligence sharing regarding any threats to human space. We will not be surprised by another corrective action from Council forces or their allies. Vexthara felt each demand like a physical blow. The terms weren't just ending the war. They were reshaping the entire balance of galactic power. And if we refuse? He asked quietly. Sarah's expression remained politely neutral, but her words carried the weight of humanity's demonstrated capabilities. Then we continue the current operations until the Council no longer exists as a governing body. Your choice, counselors. The chamber erupted in angry voices and desperate arguments. Some Council members wanted to reject the terms and fight to the end. Others begged for immediate acceptance before humanity lost patience entirely. Dr. Liu's voice came through Sarah's communication device, addressing the Council directly. Counselors, I've studied each of your species extensively. I know you value honor, tradition, and the preservation of your peoples above all else. These terms allow you to maintain your dignity while acknowledging new realities. What realities? Demanded Counselor Grex. That humanity is no longer a species you can threaten or control, Admiral Torres answered. That we've demonstrated capabilities you can't match, and that we've chosen to show mercy when we could have chosen annihilation. Sarah stood up and placed the peace treaty on the central platform. This agreement recognizes the Council's continued authority over willing member species, while establishing humanity as an independent power. It's not surrender, it's adaptation to a new galactic order. Vexthara stared at the document for long minutes. His advisors whispered frantically in his ears, debating options that no longer existed. The humans had won completely, but they were offering a peace that preserved Council existence. If we sign this, he said finally, what guarantee do we have that humanity won't simply demand more concessions later? Admiral Torres answered with brutal honesty. You have the guarantee that we could have demanded anything we wanted 6 months ago but didn't. We could have destroyed your homeworlds instead of disabling your fleets, but chose not to. We could have killed millions instead of minimizing casualties, but that's not who we are. The guarantee, Sarah added, is that humanity keeps its word. When we say we want peace, we mean peace. When we say we'll respect Council authority over willing members, we mean it. But when we say we'll defend ourselves against any future threats, we mean that too. The vote was closer than expected, but eventually, all 9 remaining Council members agreed to the treaty terms. As Vexthara signed the document with a trembling claw, he spoke quietly to Sarah. How did we underestimate you so completely? Sarah's answer was simple and devastating. You saw what you expected to see instead of what was actually there. You thought rapid expansion meant reckless aggression. You thought our military preparations meant we were warlike primitives. You never considered that we might be intelligent, patient, and prepared. We studied you for decades, Admiral Torres added. We learned your languages, your psychology, your tactical doctrines, and your technological capabilities. We knew this confrontation was inevitable, so we prepared for it. While you were convinced of your own superiority, Dr. Liu's voice concluded, we were working to make that superiority irrelevant. As the signing ceremony ended, Sarah delivered the final words that would be remembered throughout galactic history. Counselors, you threatened humanity because you believed we were weak. You attacked us because you thought we would surrender.